but I think that's what, and then the only people moving in the church should be you at that particular moment, coming forward to ask a question or to make a comment. Okay? So apologies. Philip, whose apologies have we had? Just changing a battery pack.
We've had apologies from Janet and Ian Pack, Marion Cowie, Sally Ann Bates, Annie Mitchell, Chris Angel, Julie and Trevor Boyce, Ian and Jill Williams, Joe Fisher. Is there anyone else?
Godfrey was here, but I think he's gone. So
Godfrey. Yeah.
Okay. Brad, thank you very much. Now, this is a three-phased meeting, and the first meeting is to elect our new church wardens. Have nominations been received?
Yes, we've had two. Do you want me to read them out?
Who are they from?
We've got Marion Davis and Job Rombout.
Okay, so two nominations, Marion Davis and Job Rombout. We need two church wardens. There is therefore no election unless anyone wishes to stand right now. I therefore declare that they are duly elected our church wardens. Thank you very much for your service. At this point, I'd like to say a very big thank you to Lorraine, who's been our church warden for the last 4 years, for your friendship and support during that time. And I've got a little gift for you, so come to the front. Hope you'll enjoy.
And also on behalf of the parish, also a token from our appreciation as well.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. So that concludes the first of our meetings. The next is our annual meeting, and you will have the minutes, which includes the report I gave last year, in your green booklets. Are you happy that that is a true reflection of what happened at our last meeting way, way, way back? If you're happy, just stick your hand in the air and wave it like you just don't care. Fabulous, thank you very much. We are to receive a report on our electoral roll, which I haven't seen, but I have seen the latest electoral roll, and we are currently at 184 persons on our electoral roll, which is one down on last year. I hope you've all had a chance to look through the electoral roll and check that your details are correct upon it. Are there any questions about the electoral roll?
Ian sent a report. Did you see that?
Didn't see it. If you would. So Ian has sent through a report. It's unlike him not to.
Yeah. Okay. Can I read this properly? Glass isn't very good. In accordance with church rules, last year we produced an entirely new...
It's turned on. Is it wound up at the back?
Sorry, I don't know.
Hand one.
No.
Yeah, it's turned on. I've just checked it. Yeah, it's on. Trust me, I've turned it on. Let's try a different mic. Try that one.
In accordance with church rules, last year we produced an entirely new electoral roll. This year's roll is just a simple update of that data. However, due to the pandemic, restrictions introduced last March and a 6-month deferment of the APCM to October, it is now some 18 months since the previous roll was published. In spite of this, the electoral roll activity since the 2019 APCM has been very much reduced compared to more times. Now to the numbers. For reasons lost in history, we have 2 rolls, one for St Francis and one for St John's and St Stephen's combined. Taking St Francis first, last year it had 16 members and 2020 shows the same 16 members. Looking at St Stephen's and St John's together, 2019 had 169 members and this year it is 168, a net reduction of 1. This is made up of 6 new members and a reduction of 7 existing members due to a variety of reasons. The total for our parish of 3 churches is therefore 185 in 2019 and 184 in 2020. In order to protect our congregation's names and addresses from unwanted viewing, a copy of the latest electoral roll will only normally be available for viewing in the parish office, but not in any of our churches. If you do discover any errors, I would be grateful if you would let me know. Finally, a word about data protection. Under the regulations, only names and postal addresses will ever be published by the parish. The additional data on the application form, for example, phone numbers and email addresses, will only ever be used by the clergy and church wardens to contact you quickly should it ever be necessary. For safety, these items will not normally be printed off but stored electronically with password protection. Ian Pack. Ian also says, if anyone wants to take over being electoral roll officer, he will happily resign, but otherwise is happy to continue in the job.
I think he's duly re-nominated and re-elected, don't you? Thank you very much, Ian, for that very good report. We'll swap microphones over on the top. Any questions? Nope. Safeguarding. We have a report from our safeguarding officer, Marion Davis, on page 13 of your report. Any questions on safeguarding? It's a very topical issue at the moment within the Church of England, but as a parish we are doing all that we can to comply with legislation and enable everyone to feel safe in church. Financial affairs. We have Chris's report starting on page 13 of the report. Chris is unable to be here at the moment because he's shielding his wife. But any questions or queries not raised already in the report? Come to the front. And I'll do my best to answer, but I might not be able to because I'm not treasurer.
I think the main problem is that on page 15, which is the actual accounts, the column on the left-hand side is missing, so you have absolutely no idea what the expenditure's for. All you've got are the figures for the various, for the last 5 years.
So that was an error, and we did rectify it, and it is rectified on the account on the version online. But we'd printed the booklets by the time we'd noticed the error. So if I can refer you to the online version of the APCM accounts, you will find all the headings.
Are we just doing St John's now, or are we doing St Stephen's and St Francis as well?
It's for the whole parish accounts.
Oh, okay. I'd like to refer to page 23. There is a heading under expenditure called petty cash. Now, I'm the treasurer of another organisation, and we have a petty cash account, but all expenditure has to be allocated against one of the account headings. And I cannot see how you can have expenditure against what's called petty cash, especially as in this case it's now more than 12% of the total expenditure. I'd just like to know what the 10% or the £1,230 has been spent on.
I know that it is all listed within a book within the safe at St Francis, and I know that the Treasurer does know what it has all gone to, but I'll raise that with Jo when I next see her.
So there's one more on the same page. The headings 2020 budget and 2019 budget, I think, are back to front.
Again, I'll refer that to her because that's her domain. To me, it makes perfect sense, but I'll refer that to her.
Well, the reason is the variance, the end column on the variance is usually the difference between the budget and the actual total. And they're usually the same year. Apart from that.
I'll refer that to her, but as far as I'm aware, it makes sense to me. Okay, thank you. Any other queries on the accounts? No? I'd like to say a big thank you to our treasurers, to Chris and to Jo, and for their financial planning, particularly this year, which we're not looking at the 2020 accounts this year, but they've been very, very wise in the counsel they have given as we've gone through this horrible time of pandemic. So I'd like to say a particular thank you to Chris and to Jo for all they've done. We need to appoint an independent examiner. Last year, for the 2019 accounts, Roger Taylor, who's a member of our 8 o'clock congregation and former bank manager, independently examined our accounts. Is it your wish that we approach him again to examine our accounts for 2020? Everyone in favour? We will approach. You have a report on the fabric, goods and ornaments of our church given by the church wardens on page 29 of the green booklet. Does anyone have anything they wish to comment or say about that report? I personally would like to express my thanks for the way in which you all keep the church looking and maintained, and particularly those who have been working so hard during lockdown on the grounds here and at our other churches. Thank you very much for all that you have been doing. Come now to the election of lay representatives to the PCC. Philippa, have you got any nominations there? So we have one nomination, which is for Jean Garner to come on to PCC. There's 5 spaces for election this year. Anyone else wish to stand at this late stage? I know Marion. You want to stand, Glenn? Fabulous. Can someone propose Glenn? Yup, and seconded by Carol. Anyone else wish to stand? I saw Kathy. Thank you very much. Would anyone like to propose Kathy? Yup, and seconded by Anne Line. Grand. And I know that Marion Cowie has offered to stand for 1 further year. So would someone like to nominate Marion Cowie? Kathy, and back seconded by Sheila James. As there's no election, you are all duly elected. So thank you very much for offering yourself onto the PCC of our parish. Now need to elect representatives to Deanery Synod. The 3-year cycle has come to an end, and we need to elect 3 members this year because our electoral roll has sunk below 200. We only get 3 reps rather than 4. Have we had 3? Graham Gibbs we have. Any other nominations? So we've had nomination from Graham Gibb for Graham Gibbs. Anyone else wish? I know that Marion Davis was one of our reps, but she's taken on church warden and has stepped back. Lorraine, are you standing? Lorraine is going to stand, so we've done a swap basically. Deanery Synod for church warden swap. Would someone like to nominate and second Lorraine? Marion King and Richard Line. And our 3rd rep was Jo Fisher, who I think is willing to stand again. So Jo, can someone nominate Jo and second her? Peter Garner and Noel James. Jo Fisher. Anyone else wish to stand? They're therefore duly elected. Thank you very much to them. On page 30 of your report, you'll see the election of sidespersons. Now, I believe this is an accurate list of all the people who are willing to operate as a sidesperson in the church, although maybe not at the moment under the COVID rules. That's absolutely fine for you if you do not feel able to at the moment, but this is a list of people who are willing to take on the role in normal times. Are you happy that all those named on page 30 are elected to be sidespersons within the parish? Yes. If you are, can you just raise your hand? Thank you. And you'll see that there is a report from the Deanery Synod's Secretary, Carolyn Andrews. That's for your information. Does anyone have any comments about what we got up to in the Deanery?
Is Carolyn Andrews a member of St John's?
Carolyn Andrews is a member of King's Langley, All Saints King's Langley. Grand. Okay, we now move on to the other book, the Pinky Book, for the reports on our daughter churches and the committees and organisations of this parish. Ordinarily, we are a very busy parish, but this year not quite so. Does anyone have anything they wish to say about St Francis or St Stephen's? No? Does anyone have anything they wish to say about our bereavement group or our communications committee? Anyone have anything to say about our musical life? Or, yes, Carol? Just come to the mic.
Is my microphone on?
Just come to the mic.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it's amazing and wonderful that we're starting to sing again a bit, and we're doing choral evensong again this week. We did it a month ago, and we had a really good congregation. It was a wonderful occasion with all the distancing and things. And Keith has been working his socks off, and he's a brilliant music director. So I hope some people might come tonight.
Thank you. I echo your sentiment that he is a brilliant director of music, and I've enjoyed working with him again over the last year. You can clap if you want. He's getting a bit big-headed now. Would anyone have anything to comment about our Finance and Giving Committee and our Fundraising Committee? No. Our Junior Church and St John's Lunch Club. Our Knitting Circle and Music at St John's. Our Parish Magazine and Pastoral Coordinating Committee. With the Pastoral Coordinating Committee, I would like to thank Ruth for setting that up. I'm just really sad that she's not going to be around to continue to oversee our pastoral life. Our Social Committee and Together on Monday. Women's Fellowship and Worship Committee. All of these areas are really important in our common life together, and I thank you all for taking part or being involved in them, particularly those within the leadership positions within them. We now have my report. Is it your wish that I read my report again?
Yes.
I've had some people say yes, I've had some people say no. Raise your hand if you want me to read it. 1. Raise my hand if you don't want me to read it. Fabulous. I won't read my report. I spent a blooming long time writing that, you beggars. But I hope I meant every word I said, and we are a church that is moving forward, albeit in rather strange times. Is there any other business? Anyone like to raise a question or a comment? Yes, Carol.
I would like to simply offer heartfelt thanks on behalf of us all to our vicar.
Yeah.
The first church to open on the first possible occasion, with it all sorted out, mind you, thanks to Marion's help particularly, and the ropes and the wipes and the spots on the seats and all of that. It was open. We were welcome into the porch. We could light candles. There's been an open welcome, and Mike's the driving force behind that. And yes, of course he's not perfect, but neither are we. And we shouldn't expect him to be perfect, but some people do, and they shouldn't.
What's wrong with me?
No, well, I'll tell you afterwards.
It's all right, I know.
But seriously, we are extraordinarily blessed to have Mike at the helm. So thanks, Mike. And give him a good round.
Thank you, Carol.
And I say also on behalf of the whole congregation and of the parish, yeah, lots of thanks to Emma as well for supporting you in all what you do. And here are some small tokens.
Thank you. So this is a thanks to my wife, which is very kind of you. Yes, she is the woman behind me, massively, giving me a damn good kick at the backside. So thank you very much indeed. I like the wrapping paper. This is how I like it. Thank you very much indeed on her behalf. There's one thank you I would like to make today, and that's to Philippa, who's been our PCC secretary for 4.5 years. And she's managed to do that whilst being a very busy administrator at a very busy school, and she's trying to keep me in order, which is quite a hard task to do, as Richard Lyne knows. So I would like to say thank you very much, Philippa, for all you have done, and offer you a token of our appreciation. So thank you very much, Philippa. Is there any other business? Fab. Graham, do you want to come to the front?
Any news on the congregational singing? And also in Keith's report, there is only one child member of the choir. Can you update us on what's happening with Catherine Boyce and the number of children, and is it still happening?
Okay, so at the moment the government has not revised its advice on congregational singing. Currently that is still prohibited. There is a growing number of people asking the question, but if we can talk wearing a face mask, why can't we sing with a face mask? But at the moment that's falling on deaf ears with the government. So at the moment it's only choirs that are rehearsing and are at a greater distance away than what you currently are in the pews, who are allowed to sing. With regards to junior choir, it was going great guns up until lockdown. And then lockdown put a complete halt on it. And there's quite a significant challenge with bringing the children back, in that children don't sit where you tell them to. They don't really understand social distancing brilliantly. They get the coronavirus and they get the need to wash their hands and so on, but they don't get that they're not allowed to hug one another or to stay out of each other's space. But we are starting to explore the possibility of being able to bring back our children and hopefully get them singing at some point. Probably not this year, but we are still hopeful. There were, I think, about 16 children on the books for the junior choir, but you're right, for our full choir, there's only one child within it, and he graduated out of the junior choir and wanted to join the full choir. We are working on that, and recruitment is something that we must keep striving towards. Okay? Grant, I don't think there's any other business then. So the date of the next meeting is the 25th of April 2021 here, and it will be after our main parish Eucharist. Could I invite those of you who have been elected to office to remain behind but come a little bit closer? Those who have not been elected to office or are not a member of the PCC, thank you very much for staying on tonight and for your what's what I'm looking for your sharing in the gospel, really, and for your fellowship as part of this parish. So thank you very much indeed, and I wish you all a very happy and joyful Sunday. Maybe see you tonight for Evensong.